Picked up playing RuneScape. Yeah. It just makes it, you know, it disarms the sentence. On the off chance someone was taking it harshly. Good old LOL at the end fixes everything. It's the best of 5 finals for the Korean StarCraft League. Week number 14, I believe. If you want to support the Korean scene, do go to their Patreon. Which, let me just do the command here. Patreon.com/Korean StarCraft League and support them there. You can also support the Korean players by contributing to the GSL Patreon as well. But the point is, the Korean players, they're having a tough time. Blizzard pulling out of StarCraft 2 funding, especially hit the Korean scene hard. Yet they are still doing their daily grind, giving us some excellent games to go off of. And we have ourselves a great PvZ to start things off in this best of 5. A great first game, PvZ, because Dark is going to proxy hatch. Or block hatch at the very least. And the top left it is herO, and the bottom right it is Dark. Teammates. He's gonna do the thing? Okay, that was weird. I guess he didn't want to show the drone before he had the minerals. Oh, okay, I think he actually wanted to try and get the natural up, and then this is a third, maybe? The mineral fluctuation in the pylon block, it just made it a bit confusing. But anyways, the drone pulled back, then went full on in. It is going to go for the block hatch. Now, this isn't very dedicated, actually. I mean, it's kind of dedicated in that there's a reason no one does this every single game, but it's not an all-in, it's not the proxy hatch. It is just going to severely disturb herO's plans. Now, Dark could go for a follow-up attack, because Dark is a one-of-a-kind Zerg, and he is unusually aggressive. I mean, Zergs can be aggressive in that the way that they play out their 60-plus drone games get aggressive. But not many of them always cheese. Dark does a lot of cheeses. So he could, but it's unlikely. This usually is just to mess up the Protoss, and, well, he's certainly getting a lot of messing up done. Second hatchery comes down, and then you could also turn this into an evolution chamber. No Zealot was gotten, as herO believed the probes would do the trick, I guess. And it is a bit of a conundrum. The Adept will be chronoed out and immediately sent across the map, in which, by the way, the probe had stayed around, got another pylon block, I think. It was the first one. And was scouting for any sneaky follow-up, such as a pool first. Or, well, second, but you know what I mean, like a aggressive pool. But the evolution chamber will eventually be canceled, and then the drone has a decision to make, either go into the main or the... Well, he can go to the main to scout. Then he can go into the... Then he can go into the natural, the gas block. Or he could try going home. I love that Dark tried again to proxy that hatchery, get that block down. I love that this is apparently a game of blocking, as the gateway also went down. But that was given up on particularly quickly. Another hatchery goes onto the main base, what the hell? DKZ is a team that combined DPG and Kaizi Gaming. Dark is gonna actually proxy hatch at this point. I keep wanting to say proxy hatch, but it's a block hatch as long as it's in the natural. This almost looks like a troll. Like, he's just doing it to get me to be annoyed. But a Roachborn is coming down. And that's how cheesers get ya. It's the 4th or 5th cheese, isn't it? herO's thinking this will be canceled, and there's no problem. He is wrong about that. To not even keep tabs on this hatchery is very concerning. Lings are going to chase after the 2 Adepts, which should not be on the field any longer. herO's trying to get them back home. Lickety split. 2 of them, yeah, both of them will survive. Safely tucked behind the healthy Adept, but my dude, the hatchery is still building. Like, he did check it recently because it's big on his vision. But does he realize it's going to be such a cheese? He does not know about the Roach Warren. He doesn't technically know that third base hasn't been taken. It was delayed after all, so what if he just, you know, eventually got it? Okay, an Immortal pops out. That's an excellent defense. It goes right towards the hatchery. I mean, the creep spread started spreading, so we knew it was there. Immortal killed buildings very quickly. Yeah, Dark realizes this hatchery is not going to work at the end of the day. He cancels the proxy roach egg. He goes for a couple of lings instead. Definitely a better move. He still has a giant army because you don't know what's coming out of the eggs. The Ravagers are here. Shield batteries prepared, but only one pylon. But hey, only 2 Ravagers. That's not particularly impressive. Stalkers, an Immortal, a War Prism all coming out. herO might not have known this was on the way, but he got one of the safest responses to an early game cheese that he could. Shield battery, units, Robo. Pylon is not gonna... Oh, it does go down! The shield battery didn't go for the heal. He didn't have an overcharge. Now he does. Oh, yes! Yes, he did it! And the 3 Ravagers didn't actually kill the War Prism. He used the War Prism to power the shield battery overcharge. Is it going to be enough? Does Dark actually still have enough units to break through? I do not believe so. An Immortal and a War Prism, we know how good those are. Even the probes getting on the action. Duress Rupture as well. It's like weirdly high technology in this game. And that is finally going to be it. GG. herO looked like he was going to be bamboozled, but had a very proper build towards an early game cheese. The weird thing is, though, is that I think if Dark had literally just gone for a more typical 2-base Roach Warren, he might have hit faster and thus still won. Because, a Robo building an Immortal is one thing, but then having the War Prism, that's just seal the deal right there. So I wonder if Dark had just done like a typical 2-base Roach attack. Would that have done the trick instead of all this hatchery shenanigans? I don't know. Soju and cheese. Yeah. Winning that very weird, odd, cheesy game number 1. In the top left, it is herO. In the bottom right, we have Dark. What are the points of teams? It's a fair question. If there's any team leagues, there's a reason. So the WTL's pretty popular, so there's one reason. And then the teams pay them is the other reason. But as far as like team practice or having a coach or having a team house or having, your teammates be the first people you go to strategize, like that's not the case anymore. I would suspect that there'd be at least a little more pull if they really needed someone to practice with and none of their friends were responding. They would go to the other team members at DKZ and be like, please, bro, please, please. And they'd feel a little more obligated, but I don't know. And particularly for the Korean scene, but really all of StarCraft, the scene is at this point so small. It's like you just hope to find anyone here not immediately playing against you. You're like, well, I've got 3 other people in my group, and there's 8 players in Korea. And I'm like, oh. I hope those other 3 guys are, 4 guys are ready. It's not quite that bad, but yeah. Dark is once again denied his natural hatchery, but this time doesn't send the drone across the map for a hatch block. There was a period of time in which it was one of the most popular builds in the matchup. Rogue was doing it a ton back in 2016, 17, I think. Maybe even 15, 16, actually. And it was fun, but again, I think just people got better. Because I do believe it was part of Legacy of the Void, so I don't think the expansion changed, but I could be wrong about that too. It might have been Heartless Swarm. I just remember Rogue doing it a bunch. He would block, he would proxy, he would proxy. It was getting to a point where they'd even start proxying here. And then they'd actually use it, to attack. There's a point where Zerg players were much cheesier, but that was a long time ago. Now it's seen as generally not worth it. Protoss players don't get as messed up. Zerg players find, I think, bigger benefits in playing a more streamlined opening. So it's not that you don't do damage to each other, maybe, but it's just that, if you did no damage to yourself and no damage to them, then you would have a better mid-game. No, you'd have to ask them, actually. You'd have to ask the pros. 2 lings get into the main base and are looking for a probe. If herO's on point, he will not let a single probe die. That's not even a particularly high bar, honestly. Like, he just really should not let a probe die. Has it died? Oh my god, a probe died. That might have been the scouting probe, but still. Not on point. No, it's not that bad. Oracle's on the way, something that Dark was able to scout. Dark does like his decent number of lings. He might have got... Wait a minute. No, that is a wall. Okay. He might have gotten in if herO was actually shading across the map, but one thing that the shade also does is, of course, scout. So you got adepts on the wall and you're not sure if your opponent's going to be weirdly aggressive. Dark is usually aggressive at kind of odder points. No! That did not deserve it! The feathers. The lings are eyeing this bird, like, that's a warning. Anyways, the adepts scout with their shade for a ling attack as well. It seems like herO has played this out well. He will not have to worry about his third base getting up and running. I did not notice the Oracle fly across the map and almost die, but apparently that happened. 4 health left over on that. This Oracle also in similar trouble, down to... Wait, am I reading that right? 22 health. Yeah, you're right. I thought that right. Yep. Gauntlet Wizard, thank you for the 19 months. Why does Dark hate critters? I don't know. It's so sad. They just chillin'. God put them there. They can't do anything about it. By God, I mean the map maker. herO, gonna go for Resident Glaives follow-up. It's definitely not the fastest, but it could still be cheeky. Dark does like to prioritize his ling production, so far today anyways. Well, I guess it basically is. If you're going to play a macro game, this ling +1 melee is so popular, and if you're going to play a cheese game, okay, then Roachborn all you want. But ling emphasis first. However, Dark also displayed some very late Baneling nests, so that also might be what herO's hoping to capitalize on. But hold on here, queens are moving out, drones have stopped producing, that third base is saturated, but the natural is not so much, and I've been a little bamboozled. herO, is he also bamboozled? Maybe. He scout is the third base. He sees a bunch of lings, but hey, Dark does that sometimes. Now he sees the queens. And this is going to be difficult to hold. Depth's the only choice of defense. Resident Glaives isn't done. The lings will hopefully, for Dark's sake, get us around in the adept. The banelings will go pop, 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 pop. However, Stasis Trap, Oracles, Force Field, all come in a really big play here. Nice grab on that one Stasis Trap. This Stasis Trap was excellent! I'm actually kind of surprised Dark did that. In the heat of the moment, okay, sure, but that actually kind of looked like an obvious Stasis Trap was going to work. Well, that makes things really more awkward, because now with so little attacking units, the queens don't really count. The adepts have no conundrum. The adepts can split, they can gather, they can do what they want. Now the bangs are unlocked, but the adept number is higher. The ling number has decreased, so they're not nearly as likely to get a surround, and even as they force those adepts to split apart, the banelings do, the lings aren't getting very potent surrounds. This was a very lackluster attack. herO is definitely going to go up 2-0 against Dark. There's really no recovering from this one from Dark's point of view. Certainly not the way I thought this was going to go. I do not know why +1 flyer attack is on the way. It's still going. What's it going for is my question. I don't understand. I don't know why he's going up to +1 flyer attack. Is he gonna go Robo for Immortal production and then add on another gate, a Stargate? I don't know. I know the adepts are across the map, however, but they're way more ineffective than their defense. Oh, and banelings crash into the third base as well. 12 probes go down. Dark starting to make the moves to come back into this game, but I am just sitting here question marking this +1 attack. What's going on here? What's with the air, buddy? What are you doing? herO might be letting this game slip through his fingers. First, the very, very subpar adept attack. Then not paying attention to his probe line. Oh no, okay, there it is. Okay, good. I was like, please don't just have this. But he finally adds on the Stargate. He finally adds on the Fleet Beacon. Once again, going for the adept attack. This one working out better just because it's lasting longer. At least these adepts are going to have one shade. But even then, that shade is not particularly good. I mean, I said he was going to go into double Stargate when that +1 attack was like 20% done. It's just he took a long time to get the additional Stargates. And in fact, I think he's taken such a long time because he built so many Adepts to try and do 2 attacks. Well, a defense, an attack, and an attack, I guess. I feel like Dark is actually having plenty of time to recover. Now, Dark needs to figure out what the hell's going on, of course. If 5 carriers show up and he has no anti-air, then he's screwed, but... if he figured it out, I feel like he could actually respond to it. So far, nothing scouting the main. Dark figuring that the game is bound to go in a typical direction. herO had a very strong defense against Dark's dedicated attack, and while his offense maneuvers are kind of mediocre, it's, you know, it'd probably be the easiest thing to just go into a typical charge, Archon, Immortal composition, but while that would probably still be a decent game, the high risk is currently giving a high reward. The Stargates might have been late. His follow-up pressure is obviously not there until the carriers arrive. But if he just shows up with carriers... okay, the carriers are revealed. Alright, so the Overseer does its job. However, the carriers might still be able to go across the map and start doing damage. There's only Queens to defend, after all. But I think Dark is literally threatening the ground army so that the carriers can't go across the map because they need to be at home to help defend against the ground army. So herO is still... no, actually, I think it's no longer high risk, high reward. I think it's high risk, subpar reward. That Overseer scouting it as the first carriers arrived was still a good enough timing for Dark. If it was 6 carriers with +2 arriving at Dark's base when Dark is like 200 army supply on the ground, that might have won the game. But, yeah, the carriers going for the counterattack would be slowly killing the Queens with 2 carriers. Not going to happen very quickly. And then the ground army still would have been threatening enough that the carriers would have the conundrum, and going for a pseudo base trade would not be worth it. I don't think I liked how herO's followed this up. I think going for less Adepts and right into charge Archon or what have you would have been much better. This move out not working out very well either. They both met in the middle. I think they both are surprised, actually, but herO a little more surprised. Loses a lot of his ground army, saves the Immortals at the very least. Dark does need to be careful about giving away too much of his ground army too fast, right? But with 16 Corruptors on the way, I think he has done the appropriate job in buying time and defending against what is now a almost purely carrier-based Protoss army. herO is not going to stay on purely carrier-based. He's adding a Templar Archives, Robotic Space, second Robo Charge, and upgrades, but, you know, Dark needed as many Corruptors as he could get ASAP. He got them, and now he's going to go and fight with them, which means herO has to defend, and Dark can once again build up his economy, build up his technology, and build up a ground army. Can, not will, but he can. It's a decent number of carriers, and don't underestimate that +2. The ground army is pretty much goners by the looks of it, but the Corruptors are also quickly going down. The Interceptors all out, firing away, and the overcharge helping the carriers themselves. That was a bit of a disaster. I think the Corruptor count was decent in terms of holding or finding a cheeky carrier out on its lonesome, but, you know, kind of away from the grouped up army. But over a shield battery? With everything together? Oh, that, well, that just clearly wasn't it, was it? Dark wanted to try and engage, wanted to try and get the jump on him, and that did not work out. +2 being done is also just something you're not usually anticipating, and that, an upgrade for a fast shooting, multiple shooting unit, the Interceptor, is just, we know how good that is. Consequently, an armor upgrade is also very good against it, but the Corruptors don't have any upgrades. I am allowed to stream the PC game show. Yes, tomorrow, Sunday I'll be co-streaming the PC game show in which Stormgate will be revealed. Mama ship's out. herO does seem to be stronger set up in the late game now that he has, well, gotten to a late game composition. And Dark is actually, it's actually quite reminiscent of the first game of Dark versus Classic, where Dark seemed to be able to respond to things quickly enough, but then at the end of the day, wasn't well set up for the real late game, the real late game. He still doesn't have high technology, he still doesn't have a huge bank or even that big of a economy. 5 base, 79 drones is solid. But it's not like he has all of the map with static defense aplenty. And again, a huge bank. Nope, doesn't have that. So he is facing a almost perfect Protoss army, especially as the Archon count has grown, with a subpar Zerg army, a lair-based Zerg army. So he stopped dying immediately to the carriers, but he might still eventually die to the carriers. Yeah, I think herO's done it. It's taken a little while longer, but he has done it. Disruptors popping off in the Queens, which would have actually been very helpful for the Corruptors. They had plenty of transfuses. 21 Corruptors against 6 carriers. Might just be a numbers game. Despite the upgrades being in favor of the carriers, Dark comes in with the right number of units. However, the wrong number of ground units. Yep, GG. Could not balance it out as well as herO. GG, herO getting to that late game PvZ faster and better than Dark. Dark did his best to survive, but was not the best equipped Zerg to deal with late game Protoss. Exactly what happened versus in Dark versus Creator. I'm surprised I'm not hangry. I didn't eat anything until 3 p.m. and then didn't have dinner. I'm just normal, tired, angry. Top left, it is herO. Bottom right, it is Dark. herO is up 2-0. Defending Dark's all-in, and then going for right into triple Stargate carrier. I still would say is quite the risk. I guess you would assume you're pretty safe to get into those carriers, because a follow-up all-in would be quite difficult for Dark to accomplish, but you know, he also did all of those adept attacks, which were pretty mediocre, if not straight up bad. So that's the in-between part that really made me start to question, is herO messing up the follow-up? But herO does know what he's doing. He used to say that with such confidence, but he really has shown some struggles, particularly in PvT. He has not done particularly well in the tournaments, like GSL. And I was saying that he is signed up currently to go to Yangchapan, but he didn't qualify for it, so he's not seeded in. He has to go through the open qualifier, which is a bit of a serious run if he actually gets far in it. And we were discussing yesterday on our talk show how difficult it is to know for sure that you are actually signed up to play. Because the open bracket signups for DreamHack Yangchapan are so limited, and priority does go to people who have points, which herO does have EPT points. But it doesn't really tell you, it doesn't confirm. The last day of signups is actually like Tuesday or Wednesday, two days before the start of the tournament. So, you know, you have to book a flight, you have to book a hotel to actually go, and then if you get there and they're like, sorry, 5 people with higher EPT points joined up, I'm like, sorry. It'd be kind of weird. I don't think herO has to worry about that, because I have to assume he has some decent EPT points, but that is the concern. You don't actually know for sure. And in general, herO would be traveling across the world to participate in a tournament that is certainly not guaranteed to reward him with a lot. So I love that he's going. I really hope he does go. I think the plan is that he is going, but it is possible that he does not do well in that tournament either. So he's a bit of a bad run, you know, just a bit. The Dark doing Dark things usually. He was what was he? Was he the farthest advancing non-Terran? No, I don't think so. But he was in the round of 8. And I really feel like he should have been in the round of 4. That last series versus Bjorn was odd. But we know Dark can play an odd game. Being a slightly odder Zerg means that he occasionally has some wonky games that don't look very pretty. And this series is a little bit like that. He is, I would say, more solid than herO. Because if we're talking about people who are volatile, I think herO's right up there, even on his best days, even on his best months. It's always that chance he just kind of does whatever, and you're like, oh, okay. But it is Dark who was down 0-2, and he is the one that's done repeated aggressive attacks. So it's not working out. Will he do it again? herO sets up for a typical Stargate build. He likes where he's been going so far. Why do we have 4 Overlords on the way? Is that typical? Is that what Zergs do? Well, Dark definitely goes for these Ling attacks, that's for sure. And this time, definitely caught herO off guard. herO manages to save 1 Adept. Make sure to block off the natural as well, which is really critical. That's very easy to forget while you're panicking about your Adepts dying. And the Oracles eventually pop out / come back, so Dark was eventually going to have to give up on that. Killing the Adepts is kind of nice. At least it trades out the Lings relatively well. But you know, ideally it would have killed the Adepts to kill the Pylon to do some damage on the Nexus, and then maybe a follow-up Ling attack would actually threaten it. It's not going to snowball. Definitely not. Now the Oracles can go back on the other side of the map and start doing damage themselves. They wanted to catch that 1 drone. There we go. Slight mistake there. It looks like at most they'll get 2 more drones. I nailed it. I'm so good at this. Someone should pay me. 3 drones in total from the 2 Oracles, but they're alive, and that is most important. So far, Dark doing nothing but holding on, well, almost nothing but holding on to that drone button. No cheese in sights. Still droning up as well, so it does look like we're gonna have ourselves a real macro game. At least into the mid-game. 4 gases from herO, sets up to blink and +1, so I do expect him to actually play out to, you know, 4th base and all that good stuff. Overlord, you're doomed. Doomed. Little stasis trap harassment in the main doesn't do a whole lot. Also doesn't get a technical scouts. +1 melee's on the way in the back. Roach Warren as well. I mean, you could predict it if you are assuming that they are macroing, which in this case is actually true. Then that +1 melee and then a later Roach Warren is par for the course. Little supply block from Dark thanks to that Overlord death, but he's fixed it. And now, ooh, 3 Oracles combined together, finding actually 3 Queens. That looked like 2 for a second, but 3 Queens, a little bit more. A little bit too much for him to deal with. 4 Adepts go into the natural, and the combined efforts find 6 drones. I think Adepts went into the natural as well. Yes, indeed. 8 drones, 9, perhaps a 10th. 1 little last shot. There we go. She gotta wind up that discus arm, you know. 11. Wait, hello. What are you doing over there? Hello? Okay, 11 drones it is, because that 1 Adept was left to live. And, well, that was a decent number of Adepts. I think that might have been worth it. 8 Adepts for 14 drones, and I guess like 6 more Lings. Okay, more drones are going down. Oracles in the main base. I think it's actually technically not worth it. Well, only because the Oracle died. Actually, I think before the Oracle died, it was worth it. I think I'm splitting hairs. The point is, the game goes on. 6 gas is up now from herO. As he goes not just into Blink, but also Colossus. He will be looking for that 3-base Colossus push, I expect. Something that Classic tried to do, and then Dark somehow magically defended with pure Ling. That was weird. But, you know, that was also a weirder game. I mean, I think that Classic was supposed to be very well set up to end the game because Dark had put himself into a precarious position, but then things happened, time was bought, Lings did stuff, and it was, you know, good for Dark. This is a almost very straight up game. Drones have certainly been lost, however, so that's what takes it away from a perfect macro game. But it is a more typical setup macro game, where Dark is getting 2 4 bases, 80, well 70-ish drones, and a hive. So he is going to get to Vipers before those Colossus are out, and ideally, he'll have a kind of equivalent army to what herO has too. herO is going to move out for some pressure. Stalkers, clear up creep spread, War Prism goes to the main, more damage, more good. No doubt about that. I did say herO was going to go for the 3-base attack, but double forward, Templar Archive's also on the way. He's not I don't think he's going to be able to hit... Well, he's definitely not hitting before Hive. I mean, that's a fact. That is a fact. So he's going to have some High Templar added in. I'm just wondering if he's still going to do that 3-base push and just add in a couple of High Templars, or he's actually just going to go, you know what? It's not going to work. Let's just grab a 4th base. He's actually getting static defense. So maybe more worried about Dark attacking him first, which he might be appropriately worried about. That Viper is done with plenty of time. There's only a single Colossus out right now. There you are. I thought there must be a second one. Vipers are not out. Yes, they are. Are they ready, though, is the question. They are not ready. So this is still hitting before Vipers are ready. No High Templars to get those feedbacks. It's just trying to win right here, right now. Run all the Protoss army down to the Zerg side of the base and hope it works. And so far, it does seem to be working. And those Vipers, however, are just seconds away from appearing into the battle. Nothing to stop them from getting the abducts. I'm more concerned at this point for the... hello, Vipers? Hello? Oh, okay, going for the Warp Prism, taking away those instant reinforcements. Links them from the backside as well. Archons are still here. Colossus helping out as well, and the Lings are getting melted. The Warp Prism died. The Oracles have died. The remnants of the Protoss army not looking quite strong enough to actually take down Dark. And herO's attack does not work out. Dark will hold. Despite all the drone damage that he has taken, he manages to fit in the right supply and the right technology to win against this push. And if he wins against the push, he probably wins the game. herO's not going to tap out immediately, but yeah, the supplies are telling the tale. Quick check on what the army actually consists of, because it can be sometimes disingenuous. We know how Protoss and Zerg work. Protoss army supplies mean a lot more, but it is still twice the army supply of the Protoss, and that's usually enough for a Zerg player to actually win the game. The Stalkers can be microing all they want, but it probably will not make up for the supply difference. And without a 4th base, herO is not really set up to actually play out a macro game. This is just basically a follow-up all-in, in which Dark is most likely prepared for. The Roaches have to respect this, but the Lings are still in Dark's back pocket with +2 melee and adrenal glands. 34 Lings are somewhere. Kind of coming together. They aren't getting this around. So the Stalkers are able to do their micro. Immortal helping out as well. Going to be saved by the Warp Prism. No save. It is now just down to pure Stalker. 2-1 versus 2-1, actually. But without the Lings, that +2 attack on Dark's side doesn't mean as much. And hold on a second, perhaps the supply is not big enough for Dark. He needed, I think, a lot more Lings to really deal with this appropriately, and a surround, which he has not gotten so far, and he doesn't have enough larvae to bust out enough Lings all at once. A blink forward, in fact, as herO realizes this might be his last chance to win the game. Has a last-second split against some remnant Banelings, but the Roach numbers are dwindling. The Zealots trying to help out. The Warp Prism still intact, but the Stalkers are once again on the run. Supply within 30 of each other. And this is a surprisingly close game. 7 more Stalkers get warped in. Warp Prism still going strong. I guess that's what's still most important. Dark, it's a battle of reinforcements. Can he have enough larvae? Does he have enough minerals to actually reinforce in time? Or does the Stalker mobility and survivability win out here? herO has lost 43 Stalkers in this game, so I wouldn't say they've, been particularly good, but he's been able to reinforce a decent number of them, now going for a couple of charge lots and Archons, but there is no magic composition at this point, though, I think. If it was only Lings, Archons and Zealots might be really powerful. If it was only Roaches, then pure Stalker might be powerful enough, but I don't know, it's not pure either one right now. Well, now it's back to pure Roach. We even got target fire on the Archons trying to happen. +2 missile attacks is apparently about to finish up in 6 seconds. The Archons could be targeted down as well, and the Stalkers need to blink out of there. A little late to doing so, and that blink was awkward. herO is trying his best to win this game, but it looks like the snowball will not happen. It was damn close, closer than I gave it credit for, but Dark's defender's advantage still kicked in, and there you go. Dark not going to go down without a fight. He will at least get 1 point on the board.
Warning, philanthropist programs detected in comm server 04.
Colt, thank you very much for the 5 gifted subs. Keep me going this late hour. The top right's up 2. It is herO. The bottom left's finally getting a win. He is dark. herO gonna make sure he gets that block again on that natural. Well, his idea of that game, the build order he chose, and the execution he went for, was the free base Colossus attack, and it kind of failed. I would say that failed. I was even pretty sure that it failed enough that a follow-up all-in would not really be all that frightening. I was wrong about that. The follow-up all-in was kind of dodgy. It was sketchy. Dark did manage to pull through. Had he been able to, I think, use at times like 500 minerals in the bank consistently, he might have dealt with that way easier. But there were a lot of times where he didn't have enough gas to build enough roaches, and then he wanted to go into lings, but then that was a very severe larva ask. It's also very important that Dark did go up to 5 hatcheries, I think, because he took the 5th in the middle. And hit a macro hatchery, I think. He usually does anyways. So that's also pretty important. Without it, he might have lost the follow-up. Yeah, herO's plan for that game, I think, was not, that did not work. Which is kind of surprising. After all the drone damage done, I thought that herO would have a decent shot, even though he also built units and traded them out. Is this an odd wall, or is it just me? Is he gonna put a gateway in front? Is it just me? Okay, it's fine. Can you put a gateway there? Well, Dark's not gonna ling all in anyways. Fake! Warp gate first, but it was clearly cancelled, so it's not really a fake, it's just a habit. Stargate was definitely hero's intention. Yeah, if he puts a gateway here, it would protect the Cybernetic score from more of the mid-game attacks. I'd be pretty worried of a ling all in, I guess, but there's no other place to put the gateway. If you put the gateway here, that just would be so stupid, wouldn't it? Wouldn't it just be like, then the pylon's part of your wall? That doesn't make any sense. It's got to be going here. Something has to make this a 1-unit wall off, right? And we're gonna find out soon, because the second gateway will be coming down soon. I always find it funny when, the Zerg just sees this, too. It's like... What? Oh no, this is just a terrible wall. This is just a terrible wall. This is just a terrible wall. Here's the thing, though. You might be like, ZombieGrub, how dare you? Here is a much better player than you'll ever be. How dare you go against him? He has been bad at walling before. This is actually not news. And I mean, like, clearly bad at walling, not just like, oh, it's your opinion, man. I mean, like, forgetting that there's 2 gaps in the wall. So, yeah, I'm gonna say he just kind of sucks at walling for a professional Protoss. But anyways, yeah, it doesn't matter. If it's not attacked, then it doesn't matter, so whatever. It's fine, man, it's fine. I just hope Dark's chuckling at him. Perhaps if they were better friends, he'd be making fun of him right now. But typical game otherwise. Oracles, 3 of them coming out here for herO. Dark gonna go into that +1 melee once again with a okay number of lings out, trying to find any type of bother. Looks like everything's locked up pretty nice and tight, though. I don't think anything's gonna happen. Oracle's gonna kill 5 drones. Take some hull damage, but it's okay. Oracle number 3 is at home to help defend. Overlord dies, 3rd base is fine, and herO actually getting a supply block that Overlord killed is doing better in the early game than his opponent, but I can't with the wall here, man. Can't. Also, slight supply block. He is waiting for the Nexus to finish, but that's been 70 to 70 for a while. Look at that bank. Look at it. Look at it. Okay. Oh, you know what spends a bank pretty quickly, guys? A fleet beacon. and a second Stargate. Not what I was expecting, and kind of the point. Dark should not be expecting this either. Who would do this twice in a row? And this is even faster. I mean, the last time this happened, you could almost excuse it because Dark had just done an all-in that didn't work, so it's like, do whatever the hell you want. But this is a straight-up game, pretty much, once again. And he's gonna go right into those carriers. Very expensive, slow-building units. So if Dark were to do any type of pressure, it'd be a bit difficult for him to hold. Bit difficult, not impossible. herO would be getting scouting information with his oracles to perhaps get some stack defense down or something like that. And he would have literally oracles, right, to help out in the defense if it was a purely ground-based army. And if you could just buy enough time for the carriers to pop out, if Dark did a early mid-game attack, if it doesn't do enough damage and the carriers are there to defend, well, then that just creates another problem for the Zerg. So in a way it's safe, but it's definitely an unorthodox, risky build. Dark is currently not going for any type of all-in. He is setting up on 4 bases. Drone temporarily stopped. He is getting quite a few lings. But lings have trouble against static defense. SimCity. There is a little bit for herO to work with. Most importantly, don't let them into the natural, which with shield battery is perfect. What this does do is it scouts the cybernetics core, which should be healed up, by the way. Okay, it is healing. The graphics just broken. That was a lot of lings. That was definitely an attempt at a Baneling bust, and that could have been very dangerous if the shield battery wasn't there, because then the lings get into every nook and cranny, natural, third, and main. But now it just, well, what it did was it scouted the +1 was on the way, and of course just scouted the carriers. Once Dark saw that the +1 was on the way, he instantly booted up 10 drones, finishing off with 6 more, tries to get his Spire in time, but herO knows that he's now in a timer in which he at the very least can be on the map dealing some form of harassment before Spire is done. It's unlikely that Dark was getting a Spire prior to that all-in, or attack, sorry, not all-in. Prior to that Ling Baneling all-in, was he getting a Spire? Most likely not. So those carriers can be out here for a little while. Then they might have to get recalled, actually. But they do want to look for, you know, a couple of queens. Target firing them. Transfuse is coming down. +1's done. Carriers are out, but now the spores are finished as well, and the carriers don't want to take on too much more. Adept's trying to find damage on the 3rd base alongside some Oracle pressure too, but now is the time to worry about a Spire. This would be around the time that someone who responded to the scout would get a Spire. How do I know that? Because that's exactly what just happened. So now it's a very early Spire. We're on the early stages of working off of 75 drones and 4 bases, and Corruptors are quite expensive. So you're not going to have a, I think, convincing number of Corruptors might be the best way to put it. One in which you just go across the map and roll your face across the keyboard and win against the carriers. You're not going to be there, but you do have, once again, that defense. So Dark was able to do that last time this happened. Last time herO got to very quick carriers, Dark was able to say that at least I got to the things that I need to defend, but then was an actually well set up for a late game scenario. He didn't have a bank, and he didn't have technology. This is a more typical ZVP, I would say, right? herO definitely forces this into a late game PvZ type scenario, and he does get there faster because he set the pace. But this time around, Dark isn't kind of weirdly put into a, well, I was gonna all-in you on a ground, and now I gotta get Corruptors, and now I gotta afford the Corruptors so I can go into a hive, and you're gonna attack me as soon as I stop letting up the pressure, so I gotta keep pressuring. Made game 2, was it? Kind of awkward. And this is the game which I think we will see more of Dark's prowess in the actual late game, not the kind of emergency, oh damn, late game. Corruptors immediately going across the map. They're bold. And they do get that Templar Archives. They will also get 1 carrier. Might make that 2. However, many Corruptors starting to go down. +2 air weapons just seconds away from finishing would have reduced the Corruptor count a lot faster. So that's a bit of a bummer. Oh, barely saves that 1 carrier. Dark finding, I guess, a fairly good trade, I guess. 12, well, hold on here. 12 corruptors. Oh, no, maybe not. 12 corruptors for 3 carriers and the Templar Archives. Not a fair trade. I was guessing more like 6 or 7 corruptors. I was way off. Okay, so that's a little dangerous, and herO, I think, realizes that it is now dangerous. Plus, he does have the old conundrum. If you have too many corruptors, you don't have ground army, I have too much ground army, you're still dead. Which Dark is close to being at. He only has Lings against someone who is charged lot Archon based. But he is getting into Ultras. Once again, no chitinous plating. Lings will be his savior. You're gonna buy a lot of time. hero's not gonna feel super confident about moving out without the addition of more Archons, perhaps. Okay, no, he is still gonna go for it. Notice that he's no longer building carriers. He is gonna get a Mama ship, but he is going into those Immortals, so I don't believe he knows a Hive is done. Yeah, that was a lair. That was a lair. So he doesn't know a Hive is done. He doesn't know Ultras are on the way, but perhaps with the pacing of this game and his knowledge of Dark, he figures that will be the response. So he is somewhat blindly going into Immortals, but if you've seen nothing but Lings, I mean, what is their ground technology going to be? Probably Ultras. So it's not that big of a reach. And of course, it is very, very appropriate. Ultras are definitely on the way. So more Archons, more Immortals. Let those Corruptors kind of just be wasted airspace eventually. And perhaps you can win the ground, or perhaps Dark will. Dark gets a big Ling run by with the Juno Glands. Oh, not done. Nowhere close to being done. Never mind. But those are still +2 Lings. So they are still dangerous, and they are going to wrap around that Nexus, kill the 7X core. I think herO is trying to go for a counter, but seeing the Ultras, having his army kind of everywhere at once, really mishandling the counterattack and not handling the attack at home much at all. herO has taken a lot more damage. Dark once again showing us the power of Lings. Mamba ship out by her lonesome, killed by the remaining Corruptors. Ultras doing a bunch of damage, because where the heck did those Immortals go? I guess they were caught on the wrong side of town. SimCity will be the Ultra's demise, as it usually is, but herO took so much damage. He was wrong to attack, basically. I guess, I don't know if he actually had recall, to be fair, because he had used it previously. He used recall somewhat recently. I don't know, but if he had defended the natural and just kind of chilled out, if he could have, I think he'd be in a better spot. But he was caught out in the map. Other factors at play that I wasn't quite paying attention to, I'm sure. And then, yeah, it just turned way worse for herO, who does want to replace his natural. Now, it's a weird-looking scenario because his main base with all technology is intact. His third has plenty. His fourth and his fifth are up, or close to being up and running, I should say. But you don't want your main to be exposed. That's just crazy talk. So herO is still the one that's recovering, and Dark is allowed to, well, kind of do what he wants, which is, again, send Lings every which way. And this time they do a +3 attack as well as a Juno Glands. So if they get another run by such as that once more, it's going to be dead. It's going to be deadly. Archons and Immortals, perfect combination against this composition. However, no shield battery. That would have made it absolutely perfect. It is still good enough, and reinforcements are coming in. Stag defense in the bottom left seems to be doing the job so far, but here come Big Daddy Ultras. Going to be chomping on the shield batteries and cannons. And no recall available, as well the Nexus isn't even finished. So there you go. And herO is having trouble defending multiple places at once. This is a very fast style. As long as you got the Larva to remax on it, then you're going to be hit over and over and over and over again. And herO just has not really gotten his setup, you know? He needs to get his defenses up and running, and he needs to get something out in the map to kind of predict where Dark is going to strike next, so he can have a little more preparation. He's going to go for the attack once again. This turned a bit faulty earlier on, as he was forced to recall and lost his natural, but this time looks a bit better. Immortals are here as he realized that only Ultras are there to respond so far. Archon's actually looking to go back home as I think he just figured out the Ultras in one place, Lings in another. The Lings are hitting the third and the main base. Stag defense will only do so much against Cracklings, you know, but it seems like it might just be enough. The attack has ceased. It killed the hatchery, and herO said that's good enough, and I think that's very wise for him to do. 16 probes have gone down to all these run-bys, leaving herO at 50 probes. Not particularly impressive, but his army supply is. Now, here's the real rub, isn't it? Is he gets to do that almost perfect ground army for the Protoss. Is Dark at an equivalent ground army? Depending on how the engagement goes. Once again, the surround will be threatened. The Protoss will want to back away into a big old ball up against the rocks, something like that, and the blinding clouds will affect him. So that's what herO needs to be worried about, but herO with no advanced scouting had no idea what was awaiting him. Abducts come into play, actually, and the Corruptor is still helping out as well by helping out against the Warp Prism. herO does want to go for the attack, but once again, it was a bit piecemeal, wasn't it? It just was not all together. If it was all together, this actually had some real power to it. But the 30% of the army, and another 40% of the army, and then 30% of the army, that's not the best engagement you could ever take. And Dark is going to tie up the series. GG. I was, like 40 minutes ago, I felt surprisingly fine, but now it's... I thought these tournaments went a little bit faster, but Dark bringing it back to game 5. Just bringing it up to a 4-hour cast. In the bottom left, it is herO. Top right, it is Dark. Guaranteed last game. I said guaranteed, damn it. No draws. If there's a draw, I'm going to rebel. Dark has ceased his aggressive nature, and it seems to have worked out well for him. He's won the last 2 games.
Warning.
Another 5 subs from Colt. Thank you very much. No draw. Stop it. The crazy thing is that a draw in ZVP is almost always a stalemate draw, in which they just both realize they can't attack into each other, so they just agree to give up. So it would first be like a 2-hour game, and then it would be a draw. In TVZ, this, TVT, TVZ, or whatever, it could be a 5-minute base trade and end in a draw because they both lift their buildings. But PVZ is bound to be a long one. I think with these two being the way they are, I expect less of those late games. I mean, herO's kind of been... on one hand, is hoping that his surprise carriers might just win the game. That might happen every now and again. But on the other hand is, going straight to carriers and playing straight to the late game. So he has only himself to blame if he ends up playing a 2-hour game. And Dark is willing to play that game, but we can see that he's aggressive. Whether he tries to attack you first, or all in you first, or wants to play a very aggressive, high multitasking, high action style like Ling Ultra, he's not going to sit passively unless he is forced to, in which he also does a particularly good job at. If he has to, he will turtle up with 30 Infestors and 20 Broodlords. Can't believe herO will once again go into the follow-up double Stargate, though. I refuse to believe it. Thought it was something he'd only do once, and he did it twice, but can't possibly do it a 3rd time. But that's exactly what he wants Dark to think. Mustache twirl. The only Korean who can mustache twirl is Dark. That's what we should call him. He's such a cheeky, cheesy character, too. Why don't we just draw a little, twirly mustache on him next time? Get one of those player cards again, and instead of drawing the mustache on him, you actually, slap, a fake mustache. And then whenever Dark does something cheeky, you twirl it for him. All ideas at 1 in the morning are great. TVZ late game is mostly about dealing with Protoss Air Sky. What is it, though? I think you mean PVZ. Sky Toss? Well, patches happened that helped that. But then... herO, coming in with a new gateway-based style also helped that. There are definitely still late-game Sky Toss versus late-game Zerg scenarios, but fortunately they are rarer. 2 Adepts, not enough. Both of them gonna die. Dark seems to like these trades. He'll continue trying to go for them. Oracle popped out to help out. First Oracle goes in the natural and is like, oh, that's right. This isn't the actual natural. It's the third base that's the natural. Oh. Third base might have a Spore Crawler, but if you really want to have the best possible defense, it's Spores plus Queens, right? So it's only a Spore. If it's only the Queens, so the Protoss's will definitely try and grab a couple of drones, and that's exactly what happened. What are you going to do about it? Twilight Council and Forge on the way up. Did he go Twilight Council Forge in that second game where he went Stargates? I don't recall, but it doesn't matter. He is going into Twilight Council and Forge, which is mostly just for Charge or Blink. No, he went Resident Enclaves, that's right. Yeah, so this should be a more typical non-Stargate play. Robo comes down as well. And the Oracles continue trying to find little bits of damage, but so far they are not. They also want to get that scouting information, right? If they see the third base saturated, that's one thing. If they see the third and natural saturated, that's another. That basically confirms there's no all-in. Haha, got him. Oracles are perfectly placed for that one. So Dark definitely not going for the all-in. It's not worked out for him in this best of 5. Straight up macro has, and he is droning like a crazy fool. Crazy. +1 melee being his bread and butter. Macro hatchery already on the way. Fourth base means to be on the way, but he has another drone. And herO has, I think, just taken down an Overlord? Yeah, scouting Overlord. Templar Archives, charge. Might be an Archon. Charge attack. Temple Stasis Trap. First got the Queens, second one's the drones. Yeah, I'm gonna say you gotta give at least one drone. You gotta get back to mining. Warp Prism is on the way. Now, Creator did something similar versus Dark, and it was a bit foolish looking. I had said in that game, however, that if the engagement had lasted longer, if he had postured instead of committed, and if he had saved the Warp Prism with the Archons, all of the above or one of the above or whatever, it would have looked a lot better for Classic, who ended up winning that game anyways. But the attack that he did with Archon charge was a disaster. So it's pretty likely that herO won't replicate the disaster and will have a decent attack and a good follow-up, but it's not guaranteed. Dark is going into the fastest hive yet. 7 minutes? I think his fastest hive otherwise was 8. Wow. Wow. Does herO know about that? He does not. He did not see the infestation pits. I don't even know where it is. Oh, he did. He definitely saw the infestation pit. It's right there. It's right flipping there. So he saw that, and that is presumably for the hive. herO is absolutely going to want to punish that. I mean, he was setting up for this attack before he scouted that anyways, though. So this is just, I think, really nice for him. He might be quite happy about it. Dark is supply blocked. That's a bad sign. He has already built some roaches, 15 on the way, but if he's supply blocked, he can't build Ravagers, and just frankly, he needs more army than just those roaches. The hive technology, as well as all of these upgrades on the way, are taking away a lot of the gas, specifically that would form Banelings or Ravagers. herO is ready to go. One Immortal, well, actually not doing its job. Wants to be attacking the roaches, not the lings. Warp Prism also very far away, very protected, but not helping with the micro, but perhaps it is not necessary. It looks like herO's attack is doing wonders. Dark completely caught off guard, was being way too greedy. Hive-wise as well as drone-wise, perhaps, and he is paying the price for it after almost clawing his way back. In the entire series, it kind of ends with a fizzle. It's like, okay, well, I guess that was a series. If herO wins right here and now, that is, which it does look like it is going to happen. Drones are running away off to the right side. Natural reinforcement path is still under siege. herO is now reinforcing almost directly on the reinforcement path. He is that confident in his win. And Dark is just trying his best to collect his roaches, you know? They're coming in from 3 different directions. If they all collect together, they might be enough. But I don't think that's true either. But the Berserk player is only up 10 army supply against Charge Lot Archon. That's not a good sign. This Immortal still intact as well, as helping out whenever the roaches are the only defense available. And still no Ravagers. To even try and target that Warp Prism, Dark is 100% dead. Well, maybe not 100, but 90% dead. charge lots might need, you know, come on, come over here and help, come over here and help, come over here and help. Buddies, pals, why? But it doesn't matter, I think. Dark is clearly desperate. I guess if he actually held, he might still have a decent macro jam. Drone's hold positioning instead of attacking is an excellent maneuver, but there goes the third base. herO kind of just being like, really? You're not gonna flop over and die? All right, fine, I'll take the third base. See you later. I guess that'll work out. Oh my god, stop doing this. Just, no! Sleeping in! Come on! Dark will have a lot of trouble affording Aspire, to be fair. But still. Fourth base coming on the way now for herO, as he is also still adding on to his ground army. Gonna go for some harassment by the looks of it, too. Dark, he survived. I mean, he's good at making comebacks happen. One of the best. Living to tell this tale is already pretty impressive, but I don't know, man. The comeback unit is just not so obvious in the situation. Yeah. You know, Ling run-bys have been his comeback material. Which he is building Lings again. And he is getting adrenal glands. He knows what he's good at. But will herO fall for the Ling run-bys once again? Will this time really shore up his defenses first and foremost? Well, I see a gap in the natural wall, so... Where do the Archons go? Did they die? I don't know if they died or he dropped them out. I think he might have dropped them out. I mean, I hope he did. Wasn't he in the main harassing? It's too late. It's too late to keep track of these things. This warp was just flying around. All the upgrades finally once again on the way. I think he actually canceled. Did he cancel certificate hooks? Well, it's on the way now, and he will get up to his Ling, Baneling, Roach, Ravager army, which is a pretty good one if you're only talking about ground, but we're not only talking about ground. Stargates have finished, carriers are on the way, +1's on the way, nothing scouting that this time. Dark has no advanced notice of the carriers. In the previous games, he at least got some type of advance notice, but not this time. Not this time. Xel'Naga, even controlled by the Protoss right now, tells herO he is safe to rally his carriers forward and have them remain unscouted. I've been calling this scenario for now 4 games across 2 different series in which the carriers might be a surprise and might just win the game. But I think we finally have it. Dark is almost maxed out on a completely ground-based army. He has 4 queens. Good luck, ladies. He's once again supply blocked. That is a lot of Ravagers, decent amount of Banelings, but the carriers, you know, what do you do about that? herO doesn't know for a fact that Dark doesn't have Aspire and doesn't have 2,000 minerals in the bank, I suppose, but, you know, it's unlikely. Net. Carriers packing the corrosive bile. If Dark wins, I don't even know. What do you do then? What are you gonna say about that? Okay. Probes are fine. Probes are safe. herO's on a 5th base anyways, so replacing the probes wouldn't be the worst thing in the world. However, this attack has given Dark some time to maybe get up to Aspire. He lost his infestation pit. He's rebuilding it to get into a neural parasite? No, he's just gonna fungal. He's gonna fungal corrosive bile. That's his anti-air. I gotta tell you, that's not dependable anti-air. Dark does love his infestors. It can't be Microbial Shroud. He has, you know, no Hydras and very few Queens, so it's got to be the Infested Corrosive Bile combination. It's coming in too late, however. Even if he builds Infestors right now, they would not have the energy. The ground army is as intimidating or more so than the carriers now anyways. Dark actually might have just presumed that herO wasn't going to go all in on the carriers, in which case he's pretty smart for that. But you can see, even without getting Corruptor's supply, his ground army just does not match up to herO's Mass Immortal, Archon, Charge Lot, Void Ray. Oh, Void Ray's turned in. Hello. Carrier army anyways, so that is going to be it. herO almost let the series slip away. Finally nails it. Finally does it. 3-2 to finish this Korean StarCraft League.